Good evening, Free Enterprise fans, and welcome to Saturday night's Enterprise Legacy event, our evolving showcase of flag sets ready for you tonight. We've got a bit of a Pokemon hunt for you. Got to catch them all, if them all are Final Fantasy characters. With me in the booth today is Cosmorpheus. Cosmorpheus, how you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing really well, actually. I'm just always super excited whenever I get to catch a Snorlax. That's always been my favorite, and I'm ready and rare to go. How about you, Smithy?
I'm gonna get Sid has got to be the Snorlax, right?
Oh, absolutely. I
Yeah.
thought that was pretty well implied.
Yeah, just the ultimate thing. I'm doing great. I am always pleased to catch these Enterprise Legacy matches. Just the way the runners have decided to evolve them over time. We've got vanilla locations here tonight, which is not something you see very often in Free Enterprise. So even though it is a character hunt, our runners know exactly what those characters are, so we have a good idea of what key items we're going to need going forward.
Yeah, and well, I mean, we hope the runners know where the characters are. That could be very interesting. Again, as you said, vanilla character locations not super common, but Sid we know is going to be in the Baron Castle. We know Kane is going to be in the Tower of Zot, and we know Fusoya, of course, is on the Lunar Dais. So that means we need darkness, we need Earth, and we need the Baron key. So even though it's required character hunts, no shortage of key items required to get us there.
Yeah, right you are. Rosa, one of those interesting characters that is available in two places. Can get either in the Tower of Zot or if our runners come across the Sand Ruby early, they can snag an early Rosa by waking her up there. Of course, you're going to have to go to Zot eventually to get Kane, but that option is on the table for an early White Mage, which I'm sure our runners would appreciate.
Absolutely. Early white mage is always something that is great to have. Um, even if it is like a Tello or a Porum, not your ideal end game mage, but certainly a mage that will get you through the early part and get you on the way. So always exciting to try to get that early white mage to keep you going. Through the early parts and mid game of the seed.
Yeah, right you are. And speaking of which, with the vanilla character locations, that is not just for our objective characters, of course. All of the characters are going to be in their vanilla locations. Would not be surprised to see if our runners book it over to Mysidia to get a pair of mages in their crew.
Yeah, I know that when I usually run these seeds, I end up with a pretty tried and true method on this flag set where I like to get my exit mage and Tella, and I like to get the twins to get flare going. And then I take a gamble and I head straight up Mount Ordeals. That is my typical routing on this. So I'll be interested to see what our runners do this evening, Lady SSJ X Gears and Pixel Tamer.
Yeah,
And
with that Wildish on, I like this Cecil start here. Like you said, going out Mount Ordeals early and making him a paladin. There's a good chance you're going to get a good piece of hardware for him very early on. So yeah, I really like that idea of the early ordeals, just so that you can get him ready to use that kind of equipment.
yeah, I will say that early edge start, though, because of the hook, basically go pick up a Tella, grab an exit, and go. Um, that's the big thing I'm seeing right now. That hook is a huge deal.
Yeah, guaranteed edge sitting there in Eblin Cave is phenomenal. He is a high level character, does really good physical damage, and he can help with your area clear until Palom gets online with some of his higher tier elemental spells with that ninjutsu that he's got. So, yeah, really, really strong character in edge.
Yep, absolutely. And looks like we have both runners immediately going to launch that hook. Excuse me, to launch their little golf cart to make use of the hook. Excuse me. We'll see if they how much looting they do along the way as well, knowing that vanilla trap chests are still on.
Yeah, I'd be tempted to grab that edge and go immediately into Castle Eblin. I know you mentioned before we started broadcasting that was a favorite play of yours because the treasure in there is so good. And with Edge in your party, you might even be able to steal a couple Bacchus wines that could be helpful for you.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. The ogres and also even the stalemen, if you wanted to pick up like an Earth Hammer to give to some other characters. You could take use of the sneak glitch as well, and do some really crazy things early on. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, how deep the rabbit hole goes for our runners, how much they want to make use of this early edge.
Real big there for Pixel Tamer. Pixel Tamer and Lady SSJ gears on basically the same idea of what they want to go. Pixel Tamer went a little out of his way in that first room of the Eblin Cave and was able to snag the pass out of one of the chests there.
And the pass is obviously huge. There's, P chest is on for a flag. So P chest means that the pass will be in a chest. And, having one found already, that's that. You don't have to go looting out of your way to find one. So, great job already finding that pass for Pixel Tamer.
Although I knew I was going to do this before we started. I mentioned I was going to do it. As soon as I say that, I'm reminded that this is indeed giant percent, so that pass really isn't going to be too much use.
Yeah, and it looks like both runners have now also seen this Asura at the hook route, and I can say from experience that is unpleasant. So hopefully they find a mute knife or any number of other things to get themselves situated for that fight if a magma key is not found.
Yeah, that is a lot of HP in that spot to have to get through on Asura. You're absolutely right. Trying to do that without some kind of way to target that mage typing is going to be very, very difficult. One of the nice things about Edge, though, is he can equip that mute dagger in one hand. He can put it a high-powered katana, which is likely to come across with the Wildish flag set on, and he's not going to suffer too much damage, too much of a damage decrease than somebody else whose only one weapon is going to be that mute dagger. So a little bit of a benefit for Edge there, but that's still going to be a difficult spot.
Yeah, absolutely. The Assurus fight is no joke, especially, excuse me, when you have to chip away early on at her. And it looks like multiple passes have been located. So we have one for Lady SSJ and one for Pixel Tamer.
Yeah, that's really big that they decided to make that check leaving the cave. So that's going to put them on parity with Pixel Tamer. And yeah, this is a really good start for both of them. Really like this play by Lady here, going immediately into Eblin Castle, like we talked about, hit up those trap chests, and get rewarded with hopefully some fantastic gear in here.
Yeah, and I do like this play by Lady SSJ to continue looting Eblin Castle. Just a great spot for early loot. We see a Gungnir spear come out already for Kane. And just overall, the high tier of loot in here is just so good. And on Pixel Tamer's side, we see them picking up the twins from Acidia, and they are heading straight to Mount Ordeals as well. So very similar to my thought process on how I normally like to run these. So kind of glad to see that all coming together for them right away.
Yeah, it's nice when you get to predict things and they actually happen. Usually, when I make similar predictions, nothing like that happens. But Stardust Rod, that's huge for that Palom that is available there in Mysidia. Lady hasn't picked them up yet, but likely will be going there, and that's going to be a fantastic item for him.
Yeah, absolutely. The Stardust Rod is just a glorious early game item. Edge mitigates it a little bit, but not for long. Once Palom gets going, especially with Virus, that Stardust Rod is going to kick in big time. That's going to be basically 2 full multipliers on the spell damage rolls, and that Palom's going to be kicking right off the bat. Or utilizing Twin with a Stardust Rod is huge, because the Twin magic will pull from Palom's magic stat if your party is set up correctly, and it will do a lot of bonus damage utilizing that extra magic. So we'll see how Lady SSJ makes use of that.
We're running into the Evil Wall here as the first boss on Ordeals. Normally a pretty scary fight, but with the amount of damage output this team has right now, shouldn't be too much of a problem.
Yeah, and this being the weakest physical attack spot in the game, this is probably the best spot to find Evil Wall at for the runners. Not the best for, chat to cheer against the runners, not the best for us on commentary to cheer against the runners. Maybe not actively, but, on the inside. But this is a perfect spot to find Evil Wall if you're running.
Yeah, if you're running this is what you like to see. This basically just becomes a DPS fight that you can very easily win. Uh,
Yes.
Evil Wall in a spot that's a little punchier, a little tankier, becomes a significant problem. But here you can go ahead and get a little bit of relief that one of the nastier fights in the game is taken care of.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. And it looks like the boomerang was found for Lady SSJ. I did not catch if Pixel Tamer picked it up or not going up ordeals. However, the boomerang allows Lady SSJ in this case to back row that edge. And once you have someone set by being back rowed, that is a permanent bit that is set to that character. So that's a big deal for future and later fights, especially because Edge can't equip as much of that heavy armor as the Cecils, the Canes of the world.
Yeah, right you are. Having your Cecil and your Kane in the front and everybody else in the back is a pretty standard setup, unless you want somebody particular in that center spot for that accuracy boost or agility manipulation. And yeah, having Edge back row glitch so that he can safely stay in that back row and deal damage, like you said, is pretty ideal. Speaking of ideal, not an ideal fight to find here. You kind of hope you get this fight in a harder spot, but this should be pretty trivial here for Pixel Tamer.
Yeah, this is one of the more pleasant mount ordeals that I have seen in a while, both from an immediate standpoint and a long-term standpoint, knowing that Evil Wall's out and just that back attack spot can be real tricky sometimes. In this case, it's free as can be.
Yeah, the only thing you might be regretting a little bit is not getting that officer taken care of. He's going to have the lion's share of the XP for that encounter. And the more XP you can get on Palom right now, the quicker you can get him to Virus and Quake, the quicker you can get him to be a god of destruction. So it's going to be a little bit longer for not getting the full XP from that encounter, but I think speed over anything else is probably what Pixel Tamer's looking for right now.
Yeah, I think getting the levels for Palom is a little less important when you have an edge early. And speaking of less important when you have an edge early, there's a Murasame to make flames even stronger and also to just make edge endgame ready.
Yeah, that is Edge basically telling Palom, you hang back for a little bit. I'm going to carry this team for a while. You get up to speed, kid. Just watch a pro.
Yeah, and I wonder if even though trapped chests are not going to have key items, if we see Pixel Tamer or Lady SSJ as well, if one of them goes to Eblin specifically for the trap chest, given the power that that edge has by itself, and given the extra levels it could get Palom or Porum, I'm curious to see if that extra XP before that Asura fight is something either one of them wants to take advantage of, just given how rude that hook boss can be.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Not just the XP, which is of course great, especially if you use the life glitch for it, but the chance at rolling at some really good hardware for your melee characters can also really help. You probably you do run into the problem where Asura is going to be doing a lot of counterattacking, and that's where the bulk of the damage is going to be. So you might want to limit how many characters are attacking physically, but then of course you could also set up cover strats in Cecil. So I don't know. I might be also looking for some good weapons as well as just the experience.
Yeah, the weaponry is definitely worth its weight in gold from Eblin Castle. Uh, those three trap chests have a very high percent chance at getting tier 6 and 7 items. So it's definitely a worthwhile endeavor. Something that, personally I've used in the past. And it's just a fantastic thing, to pick up some early melee gear and just go to town on a tough hook boss.
Okur in
And
chat pointing out that Edge's finger wag casting always makes me go. One of my favorite animations. I imagine he's doing those ninja hand signs so fast that it just looks like his fingers are moving.
Yeah, I always thought it was Ninja Spirit Fingers.
Have you
I
ever seen
just
a ninja do Limit Break 3 in Final Fantasy 14? You get a similar effect.
I have actually. I haven't seen it in a while because I need to get back into that. But it is what it is. 14's a great game too. That's an interesting little find from Edward. We get an Artemis bow, and Artemis bow is another one of those fantastic items that you can manipulate agility with. The bonus that it gives, you can even put on someone like a Palom. Get Palam's agility sky high, take it off of him, put the Stardust Rod on, and then Quake or Virus something. And you maintain the agility boost from the bow, and then you get the kick from the Stardust Rod after putting it on too. So some very early shenanigans that could happen with Palom here, uh, especially if Pixel Tamer wants to take advantage of that.
That is a really, really good idea. Yeah, really great application of kind of the wonky way in which item stats sort of interact when they're changed in battle. But yeah, you could have Palom with relative agilities being so low right now, basically lapping your other teammates and doing some serious damage. That's a very good idea.
Speaking of good ideas, this seed just seems set up for Edge to use Flame and Ninja Magic right now. All the AoE bosses just one after another with the Smilon and Friends and Antlion Cave.
Yeah, not to mention the fire weakness on the ghasts as well. It's just it's almost like this was handcrafted and was teaching you how to use it.
Yep, and there's the good use of Flare from Pixel Tamer as well, with the Palom in the priority slot over Porum, being able to make a good use of getting that Wisdom boost and getting that Flare for about 760 damage instead of the other way around would be, probably about 300 damage. Just a life staff, but objective number 2 complete for Pixel Tamer, and Lady SSJ right on his heels. And Tella doing what Tella does best in the early game, being an exit mage. And off to Baron in Pixel Tamer goes.
Even though we have his expanded spell list, still his initial spells that he comes with are still enormously useful. That Vanilla Young guarded by Golbez. Probably not going to be in a huge rush to go into that fight.
Yeah, what I did see though, Pixel Tamer picked up a Mute Dagger. Pairing that with that Murasame, that is bad news for that Asura. It's also bad news for the ogres that are in the trap chest here in Eblin. So I'm curious to see what we get out of this Eblin dive for Pixel Tamer, and I have a feeling we're at least going to see that Mad Ogre chest, if nothing else.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Going and immediately getting that equipped, and if things turn out right, we might see this convert directly into a hook dive. It would be a little bit of a gutsy play to ignore the rest of the overworld, but he's got to be getting close to feeling powerful enough to go down it.
Yeah, especially getting that edge powered up. Now, the one thing that Pixel Tamer is a little bit lacking on is a way to protect their characters. You had alluded to earlier cover strats for Cecil. This is a potential issue with how hard that Asura is going to hit, and even how hard these regular enemies are going to hit. Is not having a way to protect everybody. That's tough.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite strategies to do, especially if you can find some particularly high defensive equipment. Is stick Cecil in the back row, get your party into critical HP, and just let him automatically cover party members for you. You just have to worry about healing him. You've got Tella. If you're worried about Cecil surviving, you can just spam Blink on Cecil so that he's just automatically dodging everything. It's a very, very useful ability. Especially in fights where your only source of damage coming in is physical attack damage, and that tends to be a lot of fights in this game.
Absolutely. Cecil has so many uses even with vanilla agility on. And speaking of things being useful, there's a Baron key from the Fabul defense. So if the runners want to get Sid and want to finish this seed, they're going to have to go through Fabul at some point. And it looks like Pixel Tamer is coming to the end of their fight with the Stalemen, and there they go. They're through, and I'm excited to see what we get in the way of a big old reward here.
Ooh.
Dragoon armor is okay.
It's one of those high defense items we were talking about. That's going to make Cecil pretty tanky if that's the route that Pixel Tamer decides to go down.
And we can see Lady SSJ debating live on stream, do I want to play with Golbez? And it looks like the answer is no.
Do not blame them whatsoever.
Absolutely not. That's a tough one right there. And we do see cabins and shops. One of the reasons we see cabins and shops is because the only thing in shops are cabins. So even if you've put the forge together, the only thing you'll find are cabins. So that is something to remember, that you're just never going to find anything useful in shops outside of cabins.
Yeah, one of my favorite flags to play with, honestly, just because I like the idea of paying to win. You having to go out and adventure and find your own loot, especially when you've got Wildish on, where that loot's going to be really good anyway. Speaking of which, there's a defense sword for Cecil. Wow, that's a good pickup.
Yeah, just, random tier 6 top of the line weaponry, just, laying around in the sewer. Seems like, some fallen knight really could use his sword back, but I guess, the rats dragged it down into the sewer, and now it's Cecil's.
That's very sparkly, so, rats like that kind of thing. The hilt looked like cheese. But not only is that a good weapon for Cecil, it is arguably the best weapon for Kain, considering it has slightly better accuracy than his high-end spears, and the massive boost to vitality makes him pretty tanky as well.
Absolutely. And here's the fun fight. And by fun, I mean, make sure you one-shot the cats, because if you don't one-shot black cats, they do really bad things to your party. They have this counter move called Bluster, and Bluster ruins your day. It basically can paralyze a character. It can completely kill a character outright. It's just a nasty move.
Yeah, it is. It's really bad, though no worries about it now, since Pixel Tamer has stopped both of them. That's going to prevent any kind of counterattacks. But yeah, I always like Bluster, since we know nowadays it's supposed to be Blaster, and those old translations always make me giggle.
Yeah, because those black cats are supposed to be corals, basically, or however you pronounce that enemy name. And,
that's how I was pronounced it, so that's how I'm going.
And they've always been rude in every iteration of every video game we've all ever played.
That is true.
I do see Lady SSJ taking a random encounter in the Barren Sewers. So interested to see if this is an XP grab, or if maybe they were trying to change battle speed and accidentally changed encounters. Not 100% sure here.
That looked like some kind of ninja sword, but Pixel Tamer mashed through it faster than I could see.
That I did not see as I was looking at Lady SSJ's screen, but we do see these mad ogres, and one of them is already down as they're getting one shot by that edge.
Yeah, this is one of the nice things about the way dual wielding sort of works in this game for the two characters that can do it. If there's any property on one of your weapons that gives you a bonus, it's essentially applied to the entire attack. So just having that mute knife in the offhand is giving his main hand the benefit of the type advantage, and yeah, you can see the massive amount of damage that's going out as a result.
Yeah, you always love to see casual 8,000 swings this early in the game. And looks like, as you alluded to, stealing Bacchus wines earlier, that is something that Pixel Tamer is taking advantage of. And it looks like chat is also letting us know that the Murasame, so second Murasame, was picked up. So that edge is endgame ready for equipment. That's going to be a very beefy boy in the long run.
Yeah, indeed. One of the issues with Edge is even though he's phenomenal early on, he can really taper off in a big way in the end game if you don't manage to find any end game gear for him. Granted, that's not very likely to happen when you're in a Wildish Seed environment like this, but even still, that's going to be a load off Pixel Tamer's mind, knowing that he's not going to have to worry about Edge's equipment going in.
Yeah, and Edge has always basically been the glass cannon melee character, to me anyway, where his HP growth is not as good for melee characters, but his damage output with those top end ninja swords has always been phenomenal. So the melee type that he is to me has always been a little bit different, but still absolutely valuable. And that sneak ability he has is just something that no other character possesses, obviously. A very unique thing that he has and a great thing to make use of.
Yeah, it's especially beneficial in the way Final Fantasy IV works, that you can steal multiple items from the same enemy, which, of course, it would change in later iterations to 1 steal per enemy, except in some rare circumstances. But yeah, the fact that you can just sit in this fight, set up a grind, get an item that you need a lot of. Bacchus wines are something we see often, also from the searchers in the lower Tower of Babel. You can steal sirens from them, which are great for grinding. Both prime targets for that sneak ability.
Yeah, and not only that for the sneak ability, but you can also pick up some random encounters. Even though encounters won't give XP, you can summon, let's say, a centipede outside Kokol and steal silk webs. Or you can end up stealing a unicorn from something like a panther. Or you can end up finding the wyvern on the Barren Throne and you're, well, only one character got stoned. I thought that was going to be a party-wide stone there, so Ooh. Lady SSJ dodges a bullet.
Indeed.
That's always a panicky moment. So for those wondering, the reason why Wyvern cast Stone instead of Mega Nuke is because Witchburn, the flag is on, and Witchburn means Wyvern's going to do a random attack. So this random attack today was Stone. And thankfully for Lady SSJ, it was only a one-member stone and not a full party stone.
Yeah, Stone is a scary spell, but thankfully it has a very low hit rate. So I don't think this is a particularly high magic spot. So only Cecil getting hit with it, and that's good.
Yeah, and fairly quickly that Wyvern goes down. That's also a fantastic thing to see from Lady SSJ's side, is because they are holding on to that Cecil, which means they are basically beholden to vanilla agility throughout this entire seed, whereas Pixel Tamer is running without a Cecil. So that means that Pixel Tamer will have generally considered an easier time anchoring and maneuvering through the seed, but Lady SSJ has Cecil's utility. So it'll be very interesting to see who ends up, making the better of it, and it's also possible both get through it just as easily.
Yeah, it's when you have vanilla agility on and you have a seed like this where where Wildish is on as well, and there is that access to so many high tier weapons for Cecil, it prevents a really interesting quandary as to whether you want the freedom to sort of manipulate agility to your to your needs, or passing up on an incredibly powerful character. And it can be a very difficult decision to make. I think it's fantastic that both of our runners have decided on 2 different approaches here. Like you said, it'll be very interesting to see how it affects their game going forward.
Well, there's half of an Excalibur on Lady SSJ's side. So that Legend Sword being in the Baron pot there at the end of the staircase, if they can find themselves an Adamant, they have an Excal Cecil, at which point I would give them an advantage. because Excal Cecil goes burr and does bad things.
Yes, he does. The only thing, of course, that could eclipse an Excal Cecil is a Crystal Sword Cecil, but at that point, when you're picking between an Excal and a Crystal Sword, it's like picking between uh, two amazing flavors of ice cream. This analogy is not great. I don't even know why I started it. But the fantastic news is that Defense Sword that they have already picked up will not go to waste, because that can get passed right down to Kane. All of a sudden, you have got two fantastic frontline fighters.
Yeah, now one of the other flags that is on this week that we have not seen anyone take advantage of yet is the duplication for items is on. So that defense sword, or an Excalibur, or even Edward's spoon, should they come across it, all of those can be duped this week. So if you were able to get your hands on some of those, you would have Edge with a veritable arsenal, just ready and raring to go. Even something like a defense sword or that Dragoon Spear that Pixel Tamer just came across, you could just launch those at will and you'd have a usable stack, throw, and dart your way through a seed.
Absolutely, and that is a huge benefit against Zeromus as well, just because of the insane burst damage you can do without any setup. No need to set up Reflect and bounce things off. You just hurl things at him at Edge with his phenomenal speed, and that is going to get you through the fight in a hurry.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, we have a mystery objective, I believe, which is darting 5 spoons at Zeromus. Am I making that up, or is that the mystery objective that's been added for this week?
I would have to check. I have not seen, but let me look that up real quick.
I know, assuming that is the mystery objective, I believe I read it earlier. The mystery objective is different from the meta objective of darting 5 spoons. My apologies. But for darting 5 spoons as a meta objective at all, I would be concerned as a runner about throwing away cutlery like that. And the reason I would be concerned is, does that mean the spoon flag gets turned off? Because clearly you don't need it and you can just throw it away. And this was posited by the wonderful Commander Leonhardt. And I tend to agree with him. I would be concerned about losing Spoonword. Because I love me a Spoonword. And I know our restreamer Asuka kind of loves herself a Spoonword too.
There is a lot to love about Spoonword. You talked about Edge being a glass cannon, but I don't think they get glassier or cannonier than Spoonword.
That is certainly true. Speaking of being a glass cannon, or in this case just a punching bag, that was Ruby at his French Vanilla location, so we got a little bit of leg, but not a lot of leg. And now we get the main course, and we're going to see how this Asura fight goes for Pixel Tamer.
A little bit of leg and a lot of face here, but yeah, much better equipped than when we initially saw Asura was the boss here. Edge is probably going to be the standout here, and let's see how he decides to take it on here. I got to imagine it's going to involve a Berserk ninja, if nothing else. And yeah, there goes the Berserk.
Yeah, and I would expect to see maybe even quad 9s out of this. It's going to be big hits. There's a quarter of the health, 6,000 in one swing. And the wall is up as well, so going to be bouncing any of the spells. There's 8,000, so that's 14,000 out of 25,000. Edge only taking 250 points of damage in the front row, so yeah, this is easy breezy for Pixel Tamer, and they are going to be through this Asura and underground in about 32 minutes, which is phenomenally fast.
Yeah, that is going to be, yeah, and there goes the Sprite. Asura is down, and yeah, not only going to be underground really fast, but in a position to sort of take his pick out of all the spots here. He's got a lot of ground open that available. These fights are all going to be manageable, but the only things he probably wouldn't be able to take on right now are the Feymarch bosses, but I don't think they actually grant key items tonight.
They do not. The summon bosses, summon key items are turned off, so there will be no reward for specifically bonking Yang with the pan. There will be no reward for either of the Fame Arch bosses. There will be no reward for Value Cave, Cave Bahamut, and there will be no reward for the Baron Basement Throne. And that may also be why when Lady SSJ completed Baron Castle, they did not even peek who was down in the Baron Basement, because quite simply it can't have a key item this week.
Yep, that is correct. And with the free key item being available from Edward and in bed, Mist Dragon isn't even going to grant anything. So hunting for Mist Dragon wouldn't even be a reason to poke down there. So just a whole lot of nothing available in the basement today.
Yeah, now in a funny turn of irony, it would be fairly humorous if there were a crystal sword down there just laughing at our runners, saying, "You could have had me all along, but instead you chose to ignore me." And it looks like Pixel Tamer is rushing through Fame Arch. They are looting on the way down. Again, pretty good quality loot down here. There is that trap chest, but because it's a vanilla location trap chest, they know exactly where they can loot safely and pick up, yet more power for their party.
Yeah, right you are. And since this is a key item gated check here, key item gated dungeon here, and we have that wild-ish flag set on where the treasure does get substantially better when you get to gated areas. Yeah, very good idea to loot right here. Ooh, Dwarf Axe. That's a good find. That is the only way to get Kane into that back row glitch state that you mentioned earlier.
Well, with this party, technically, there's two ways, actually. There's this sneaky way of doing it with Edge, where you can steal a Charm Harp from a Lamia in that Ebling Castle battle, and then back row glitch Kane that way, but that's a whole lot of work. Just don't try that at home, kids. Just, do the Dwarf Axe. It's easier.
Okay, there's only one not cheating way to do it.
That's correct.
But then we get in the ethics of whether the back row glitch itself is cheating, but we're not going to get into that.
I mean, they put it in the game and they left it so that the back row bit gets applied. That's not my fault. That's not your fault. That's a programming, we'll call it quirk.
It's an advanced mechanic.
Yes. Well, we always love blue robes.
Pixel's going for the check here, and it is indeed Water Hag.
I was hoping for the other blue robe, but that's an interesting one.
Be interesting to see if he is just going looking for intel here, or no, queuing up. He might do the fight just to get a free piece of loot from this.
Yeah, I don't hate it. You could also end up with, again, some high-level Cecil weaponry. Could end up with, I believe, adamant armors are on as well. So there's always a chance that you can pick up an adamant armor from one of these spots. So you get a little bit of XP, which is hard to come by, and you have a chance at the ultimate of ultimate, armors. Slap that on Edge, and then, you are completely set. And it looks like we are getting a lot of turns off before that Water Hag is punching, so this looks good for Pixel Tamer here.
Yep, just needs to get 3 attacks in. Water Hag is almost certainly going to murder a character per turn, but that's all Water Hag can do is 1 per turn. So as long as you can get the attacks out, you should be fine. Looks like they're going to try to get a life out on Palm, get as many characters experience here as possible. I like that play. Very heads up, knowing that there's a couple of characters here, Palm specifically, that want to get a few more levels under his belt.
Yeah, getting Quake on the kid is definitely a big deal. And Pixel Tamer is through, all characters alive. There is also Warp. Now they already have Tella for Dwarf Castle and taking advantage of the Warp glitch. But should they choose to get rid of uh, that Tela, they would be able to get warp through on that Palom in the back half of Dwarf Castle and take advantage of yet another glitch that was left in by the friendly programmers.
White Robe as a reward, maybe not the most game-breaking piece of gear, but a fantastic addition to any white mage.
Not only fantastic for white mages, but Cecil can equip the white robe as well, and it is a fantastic piece of defensive gear and also makes his cure 2s even more viable. So that white robe is a surprisingly good pickup to go with the levels. So I definitely don't hate that play in retrospect now.
Yeah, very especially nice for Cecil when you get to Zeromus, since Zeromus only uses magic attacks. That willpower boost from the White Robe will help Cecil shrug off more of that damage, stay on his feet, and dish out more damage without getting into HP trouble as often.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see, looks like Lady SSJ is retreading the steps underground to the hook route. And I believe that was a blue robe dancing on Pixel Tamer's side. And of course, name a more iconic duo than Dwarf Castle and the Alt Gauntlet. Thankfully, they have plenty of AoE to deal with it, but I swear, and maybe I'm biased on this, I see this gauntlet here. Maybe more than anywhere else but music. I actually like it in music. Don't like it so much here.
Yeah, neither does Pixel Tamer. He is resetting out of it and is going to go try his luck elsewhere, it would seem. Oh, no, resetting out because his battle speed was still set at 6. Ouch.
Yeah, Wyvern Standard Time and Alt Gauntlet, that is not a fun time right there.
Yeah, do not blame him whatsoever for taking the time to make that change. That's going to save way more time overall than having to slug through that thing at 6.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if we get any cheeky sneaks coming out from Edge on this, to see if there's anything that Pixel Tamer wants from this random assortment of enemies here. The only one I would really think to take advantage of is sneaking a stack of 10 Medusa arrows from the black lizards that show up in this gauntlet. But other than that, this one's not particularly useful for fancy sneaks.
Yeah, that's good knowledge to have in your back pocket of these alt gauntlets, is trying to get items like that. Yeah, I would agree. Medusa arrows would be nice in a more Catalite environment where we're struggling for every every advantage we can get, but this is a very powerful team, so I don't think he's going to spend too much time trying to pick those up.
Yeah, I can't imagine we're going to see that. To your point, that would definitely be more of a, I need a solution, I'm not sure what to do. Oh, maybe I can do this and I can get through those, rude dark imps or baron guards or something like that where you don't have an optimal party for it. And now you can figure out a way to have an optimal setup. But this...
Lady SFJ finding a suit of crystal armor in one of those chests. Very, very great defensive option for Cecil if it weren't for that annoying little drawback of the immunity to the Berserk status. You can get around it with things like the Avenger, but mostly people just consider it cash. Of course, cash not terribly useful in this seed, but keeping it in your back pocket in case you need a horribly, horribly over-defensed Cecil for some reason is always a strategy.
And I think I found the reason why Lady SSJ took that random encounter in Baron is they have a stack of usable defense swords. I saw the little glitched notation on the top left of their inventory. So that looks like a throwable stack. So I think they have set up that manipulation for duping and throwing defense swords.
That is a very good catch there. So yeah, those symbols mean that is actually a stack of 255 defense swords. Of course, the game can't properly display that number, but that means Edge is not going to hurt for throwing ammunition anytime soon.
And poor Edge taking a glare, but walking it off like a champ on Lady SSJ's side, so Ruby not having a great day here, but looks like the runners are at his expense. And it looks like Pixel Tamer got through the Alt Gauntlet just in time to find what we might as well consider the 6th of the Gauntlet fights, and found yet another set of Dark Imps, but this time the boss variety.
Just so many imps today. It's
Imps?
an impossible number.
Oh, I like what you did there. And we see the lovely Ghost Hand running away and stealing the crystal that our runners will soon recoup anyway. But we get to see this Warp Glitch come out, and Pixel Tamer's reward for using and utilizing that Warp Glitch is a spoon. So speaking of things that you may want to pick up an Edward for, and you may want to dupe to throw, that's it right there.
Yeah, that is a strong potential here for Pixel Tamer to pick up the meta objective. We'll see if that is on his radar. If he does, oh wow, that's an adamant armor. Oh goodness.
Yep, that's now adamant armor. I would assume Edge, or adamant armor Eddie, if you wanted to keep one wielding a spoon as well. But that's a big deal. Adamant armor, one of the most broken items in any Final Fantasy, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. Not only does it have ridiculous defensive stats, status immunities, elemental defenses, it gives a whopping 15-point bonus to every single one of your stats. The adamant armor is very, very well hidden if you don't know where to look for it in Final Fantasy IV, but if you do find it, what a piece of armor that is.
Yeah, adamant armor is pretty darn good. And it looks like Lady SSJ does not have that mute knife, so they are taking a different approach to Asura. What they do have, though, is they have a Cecil, and that Cecil is going to more or less soak up any damage from all the characters who get into HP critical. So while this fight will take a little longer, it will be arguably even safer.
Yeah, I do like the blinking up on Porum here, keeping her alive, because she's going to be very, very crucial this fight. If she gets punched, that's going to spell doom very quickly unless they can get things sort of stabilized. And yeah, not quite seeing the damage numbers that we saw from Pixel Tamer, so this is going to be a little bit more of a slog. This is kind of a dangerous fight at this point.
Yeah, I think ultimately they will be fine.
Oh, that's not good there.
Yeah, not particularly great, but still decent damage coming out. And we do see Pixel Tamer going and picking up that Edward. So I have a feeling we are about to see a whole lot of spoons. And one very happy restreamer.
So yes, if you want a quick crash course in how to do the duplication glitch, watch Pixel Tamer's screen here. It involves basically unequipping one of your hands, re-equipping it with a blank slot, and having that blank slot kind of shift over to an actual item. It's very difficult to explain out loud, but there are a lot of resources in the Discord if you want to look up how to do it.
Yeah, I myself have never learned the MP glitch or the item duplication glitch or the 64 floor glitch or 64 door glitch or whatever all of those glitches are. So I can't really speak to them on a high level, but I understand that it gives you a whole lot of darts. And that's the important part.
Yes, indeed. The MP overflow glitch is another. It's not as useful maybe as the duplication glitch. It's very more situational, but it's also a little trickier to pull off because it requires a little bit of frame perfect timing with your menuing, but it's something that you can learn very quickly.
Menuing, the ultimate boss of Final Fantasy IV. And looks like Pixel Tamer is through. And let us find out. They have a stack with a shiny different number. And I believe that means they've got a bunch of spoons that they can throw, and they also have that adamant armor spoon word going. That is going to be one very angry bard.
Yes, he is one angry bard, but one very happy restreamer. Yeah, as long as you see that that sort of symbol 5 icon in your character's hand when you attempt the glitch and go into the menu, that's your sign that you've done the glitch properly, and you now basically have a floating stack of 255 of whatever you try to equip next.
Yeah, so I have a feeling that we are going to see Pixel Tamer doing a lot of darting. And we'll see how that turns out. You know, dart obviously is a powerful command. Spoon is the single best throwable item. And we're going to see a lot of big numbers all the way throughout the rest of the seed from Pixel Tamer. We also have Lady SSJ now underground, also in a very respectable time of 48 minutes roughly. Without having that mute dagger, still got through that Asura fight very easily. And also has already done Baron, so has done a couple extra checks beyond what Pixel Tamer has done. So I would say Pixel Tamer might have a little bit of a lead as far as our on-stream runners go, but it's a lot closer than meets the eye based on who has done what already.
Yeah, precisely. Pixel Tamer's about to pick up that Baron key. There it is. That is going to set him on the route to getting Sid, and so in the meantime, while he's doing that, Lady SSJ's got a chance to get caught up here.
Yeah, and we get our first peek at what's behind Sheila 1, and that is the Adamant Rock. So we have the Legend Sword for Lady SSJ. As soon as they go back up and pick up the Sheila 1 check, they will have access to an Excal for their Cecil. So yeah, that is a big deal.
Absolutely. Even if they don't get that spoon, that Excal would make fantastic duplication fodder as well, because that can also be thrown by Edge.
Yes, the Excal is the second best throwable, based on how the formula works. Takes the attack property of the item, throws in a couple random multipliers and numbers from 1 to 255, and Edge's level, a couple weird things in there. But Spoon is number 1, Excal's number 2, and our runners have both.
But Possum, wouldn't that mean the Crystal Sword would be a better throwable than the Excalibur?
Well, it would be, except for some reason it can't be thrown. And I have absolutely no idea why. I know when there's no Cecil in the seed and I have an Edge and I pick up a Crystal Sword, I say, I wish this were an Excalibur, because I can't do anything with this.
Indeed.
I have this big shiny sword and I can't do anything. This is so sad. 63,500 gold. Come to me, because you are worthless otherwise.
Pixel Tamer, of course, doing no looting at this point because he is pretty much set for damage the rest of the seed. It does mean he's missing out on that defense sword, but he also has an Adamant Spoon word and infinite spoons for Edge to throw, so I don't think he's going to be too choked up about it.
Yeah, I'm not seeing him being terribly concerned, about doing anything else but turning various enemies into pincushions or very confused cutlery cabinets.
Spoon cushions. That doesn't work as well.
I'll let you try to be the creative one.
I guess if you if you threw the spoon hard enough, it could probably get itself lodged in a cushion.
I mean, I'm sure there's some scientific thing out there that has proven that a spoon actually makes a good dart in real life. There's someone with far too much time on their hands and hopefully no one in the way while they were testing that out.
I'm gonna get the Mythbusters.
Seems plausible, as one might say on that show.
Running into the Wyvern here is Pixel Tamer. The stone's going to hit Kane this time, and Wyvern's going to get darted in the face.
Yeah, unfortunately for Wyvern, that stone only hitting one party member instead of all of them means that Wyvern really doesn't stand a chance. Now, had it been Hug, I think Hug hits all party members, if I remember right.
I believe you're correct, yes.
So that would have been more fun. Now, I also believe, though, that the Adamant Armor would block that. So at this point, that Eddie would have survived anyway. But it would have been more entertaining earlier with Lady SSJ, as they would not have had the Adamant Armor to protect against being hugged, of all things.
Imagine Edward being the last one standing.
Anna can think of it that way, because she loves her bard, but that's about it.
See, Lady SSJ is taking the chance to do the other fight here in the Feymarks, looking for some loot here.
Yeah, I mean, this is technically a free fight as well. The back half of the fight's certainly far more annoying because of the poison that gets applied. In particular, you can't Zerk up characters after the poison's applied. You can only Zerk them up beforehand. But all things considered, you know, Dr. Lugay's most annoying part here is the dialogue. And it looks like Pixel Tamer is taking a random encounter to set up their party for Golbez.
Yeah, very heads-up play here for Pixel Tamer. Setting those statuses like that is going to help essentially bypass the hold gas mechanic. In Final Fantasy IV, a character can only be affected by one status at a time, so there's actually a hierarchy of which statuses will overwrite other ones, and there are certain ones you can put on yourself that the paralyzed status is actually lower priority than, so you can preemptively set up things like Star Veils on your characters, makes the fight a whole lot safer and a whole lot quicker.
Absolutely. Or in this case, just get enough time for your edge to dart something at Golbez. Or to have Eddie come back from hiding and then poke Golbez with the spoon.
Yes, indeed. At 400 HP at this spot, probably don't need to do anything as elaborate as Star Veils.
Yeah, I mean, Golbez and also his friend the snake here, Shadow, they will do mean things to you, but unfortunately they don't have a lot of HP.
Going into the tower here is Lady SSJ. I'm curious if this is going to be a keyless tower play or just setting up to steal some sirens. Already looks like there's some siren stealing going on. Be interesting to see if after this they decide to just go up the rest of the tower or if this is all they're here for.
I hope that there's more to this play because there's this very awkward thing called Eno XP on. And that means that the sirens that they sneak are only, are only going to be good for further sneaking additional items. Since you can't do like a typical siren grind where you would pull eggs up from the Peninsula of Power underground here, I'm hoping that they remember that flag is on, that Eno XP.
Yeah, that's a very good point. It's one thing that can be kind of lost in the shuffle here with just how kind of crazy things get in the Legacy with all the flags changing is things like that can sneak up. And yeah, that would be definitely something I would completely overlook would be that sirens aren't going to get me any XP. So hopefully that's not something we run into here.
Yeah, and speaking of running into things, Pixel Tamer has run into a tower key, and so I think we are going to see some convergence here. And I think Pixel Tamer is going to take on the full breadth of this tower and give us peeks at, or a peek at the super cannon room. And my memory of a goldfish has forgotten who the top of tower boss was.
I have forgotten as well, if I even actually noticed it when they walked by.
But I do know someone who possibly knows, our wonderful tracker for this evening, Kairu. So Kairu and also Asuka and also Smapey as well. Make sure you guys give everyone a follow who's helping behind the scenes tonight. And also make sure you give our runners a follow, Lady SSJ X Gears and Pixel Tamer. And we will see if we can remember who that top of tower boss was before we actually get there.
That was Crystal something. Again, Pixel Tamer mashing hard. It was some piece of crystal, maybe not the sword, but
I saw a protect ring on Lady SSJ's side. I did not see what was on excuse me, on Pixel Tamer's side.
Also, he didn't say it, but follow Possum Morpheus as well. He's just too humble.
I mean, you have to put out good quality to deserve a follow, right?
What are you saying, that you don't?
It's questionable at times.
Oh, please. Possum Morpheus is a fantastic runner in this game, so definitely check him out. Power Rope's not a bad piece of kit.
Yeah, it'll be great for that edge since the adamant has gone on Spoonward.
And Lady SSJ also picking up the Power Rope.
Wow, glass hat as well. So lots of heavy, heavy armor and great ways to protect the team coming out of this. I love putting a glass hat on a random mage of some sort just to give them, I think it's 30 physical defense, which is a veritable ton in this game. 30 is a very big number.
Yeah, I really love having a glass hat in my inventory if I run into a particularly dangerous foe that I might be able to cheese with Cecil strats. You can, of course, just blink Cecil up so that he'll just automatically dodge anything that is coming his way with that auto protect. But I mean, if you've got a glass hat on him, you don't even need the blink. He's just going to be taking 0 damage from anything.
That is true. And it looks like it was a shiny sparkle, so maybe that's why I didn't remember who it was, because we didn't actually know. We just know it's not Wyvern.
Yeah, and the spookiest sparkle has already been taken care of, so whatever is here is going to be far more manageable.
Yeah, and this this poor lunar sparkle is not long for this world.
Not at all. A decent chunk of HP at the spot, but when you've got 2 characters with the power of spoons, that's really not going to be saying too much.
And looks like Pixel Tamer chose to swing with Edge instead of dart a spoon.
Yeah, it might have been a mismenu. Might have just been mashing through and not set it up properly, but we'll see.
I hope that they're able to get this cane back up in time. One of the things about adamant armor, as great as it is, doesn't protect you from this count. So Plague kind of cheats when it comes to that there's really no way to outmaneuver the count except having characters going super duper fast. And in this case, Edward just beating it to death because Edward doing Edward things at this point.
Yeah, Edward is already an incredibly fast character, a shockingly fast one. And giving him adamant for plus 15 agility on top of that just means he is speedy. That's an Avenger. That's not progress, but Kane doesn't hate it.
Yeah, so that gives us Defense Sword Avenger Kane, Masamura Edge, and Spoonward. I think we have approached power overwhelming level for our melee fighters.
Indeed. It's gotten to the point where once we finally rescue Rosa, she's probably just going to go chill out in the Tower of Wishes. We're pretty set as far as our team goes.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would still take Rosa over that Porum, and I think I might try to find an anchor at that point and just, let them go wild in the Zeromus fight. Annoying boss to find here in this Mom Bomb, though. Extra 9,000 health at a spot that has a total of 600. But Edward will make quick work of this Mom Bomb, just like he did to that Plague.
Yeah, very interesting that Pixel Tamer isn't leaning on that dart ability with the infinite spoons he has. Still just attacking with Edge. What if he just doesn't think the extra menuing is worth the time he'd save?
It's definitely possible. Um, and I know there's a couple different types of dupe glitches as well. And, again, not being terribly familiar with how they work, I do know there's one that makes a usable stack and one that makes a less usable stack. I don't know the exact ins and outs of it, but I wonder if maybe something went awry with the glitch where they don't have an unlimited amount.
It could be possible. I didn't see specifically, but it looked just from casual observation like he had the proper stack. But yeah, you're very right. Something could have gone wrong there. Absolutely.
But with that Avenger in hand, Pixel Tamer making their way down the tower, while Lady SSJ makes their way uh, back down the tower as well, not having that tower key yet. So that was a keyless tower check. Um, but we will get to find out from Pixel Tamer what the super cannon reward is,
And
and
guys,
see if
just looking at the checks that have been made, this has got to be something, right? This is, or it has to at least lead to another side quest of some sort, because this is about the last check Pixel Tamer has.
yeah, because we've seen ordeals, we've seen Sheila 1, we've seen Fabul, we've seen Antlion, Baron Inn, Baron Castle. So yeah, this has to be progression of some sort based on K Summon being off.
And well, that is progression.
That would do it, and that's also a Fusoya.
Yes,
So
as if this party needed any more strength. Here's your ultimate mage.
now the question is for me, if I'm Pixel Tamer, I know this is going to sound sacrilegious to a lot of folks, but do I get rid of Palom instead of Porum here because I want multiple sources of Berserk more so than I want the black magic?
I think you raise a really good point, and I think I would agree with you at this point. Fusoya is good and ready to go. I don't have to worry about leveling him up. He has a much deeper magic pool. His MP is very low, of course, but with the amount of damage this team is going to be putting out against Aromas, he can function perfectly fine with that amount of MP. It's not going to be a very long fight at all. So, yeah, I would actually be in behind you there in dumping Palom for Fusoya. I think that'd be a strong play.
Yeah, I think it just goes to show how good Berserk is as a spell that you're keeping Porum over Palom specifically because Berserk is that good. Um, that would be my logic behind it, but we'll see what Pixel Tamer chooses to do. I don't think there's a wrong answer there, for
No,
what it's worth as well.
yeah, no, you're definitely right there. Plus, Pixel Tamer did yoink a couple of Bacchus wines way earlier in the seed, so he does have those to lean on as well.
That is true. And we have Lady SSJ going through Dwarf Castle, finding that gauntlet, and also deciding that Edge is a black mage too, and he is getting them through as quickly as humanly possible.
Yeah, but then they're going to get the news that despite everything, got to go through that Golbez after all.
Yeah, that Golbez, no matter what your levels are, still takes time and still takes effort. And it looks like Pixel Tamer does choose to get rid of Porum and to keep Palom. Again, no wrong choice there, especially with those Bacchus that are already in hand. And the fact that you have to Zerk one less character in Edge, since he will primarily be darting, we believe, anyway.
And with a life staff and a white robe on Fusoya, he is going to be everything you could possibly want in a white mage.
Yeah, and I would actually be doing something a little different here personally. Again, to take advantage of that Artemis bow and leverage that extra agility, because of how fast a lot of his other characters are going to be, and because of the types of spells Fusoya is going to be using, if I'm leaning on him as a Berserk mage, basically, I just want him going as fast as possible. So I would consider putting the Artie bow on Fusoya just so I can get Zerks going faster.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
a really good idea because a lot of people are sort of hesitant to put the Artemis bow on their casters because they take such strong mental penalties. But if the only thing you're going to be doing is casting status spells, you don't need stats for that.
yeah, some of them you do. Certain things like size don't have a guaranteed hit chance, but with someone coming in at Fusoya's level, really his biggest detriment is the fact that he only comes with 20 agility and he doesn't gain more until after level 70, which you hardly if ever see uh, in the free enterprise randomizer. So just kind of some food for thought, for everyone out there is, one of the cool things you can do with the Artemis bow and manipulating agility and getting those slower characters moving faster to keep up with your melee characters.
I think we saw a few level 70 plus Edwards back in the Edward Percent World Series of Free Enterprise, but the less we talk about that, the better.
I know that there were some fun things introduced there. I want to say it was, if I get my history right here, I think it was Kirchen who debuted the Eddie strats in that, and
Yes.
kind of brought all that to the forefront. And now it's been done also with the 1200 strats and a lot of these other mixed low level strats, all kind of coming from that idea of what can we do without optimal levels against Aromas.
Yeah, Zeromus was always a sort of perfect end boss for a randomizer because it just sort of represented a fight where you really needed to hit certain breakpoints throughout the game in order to just survive. And then the community said, heck with those breakpoints, we'll find other ways. And then they did.
Speaking of breakpoints, this is a boss that will break you into multiple different pieces from those multiple breakpoints.
Good segue.
Antlion at the D-Lunar spot. Antlion, of course, always migrating to the moon, where he is a complete and total jerk. Antlion is incredibly punchy. All the lunar spots basically punch really hard. And Antlion has this lovely counter where he basically sits there and just punches you every time you punch him. So trading shots with Antlion, it'll work for Edward, but it's not really going to work for anyone else.
Yeah, this is a nice place where that Dark command is going to come in handy, since it is not the fight command. That it's not going to trigger a counterattack, so Edge is going to be able to contribute quite a bit here. These counters that are going out, I'm going to assume they're headed towards Edward because they are completely missing.
Yeah, the counters probably will miss either Fusoya or Edward here. But it looks like they did take out Palom and Kane. So a little unfortunate, but Pixel Tamer's kind of got their main pieces to success here. And oh look, you can get underground now. There's a magma key.
What a great find. So yeah, no progression there, but good chunk of XP. That is one of the highest XP value spots in the game.
Yep, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's the third highest. I think only the Elements spot and the CPU spot in the Giant give higher XP on a spot-by-spot basis. So a very good pickup.
Yeah, to answer your question, Prof NES, yes. If you look back, it was 2018. We had the World Series of Free Enterprise. It's a series of different events with wildly different flag sets, and one of them was Edward only. Definitely check the VODs for that for some real fun stuff there.
And we have a Pale Dim at the Plague spot. So looks like we're getting some darting. Looks like we're getting a little bit of zerking on that Edward. And this fight, that must be a Dragoon Spear as well, based on the damage Kane just did. So this is not a good day for this Pale Dim.
Yeah, significantly less threatening here than that Antlion was.
And it looks like Lady SSJ has picked up their Adamant Armor and their Spoon. So we shall see if they do any Spoon manipulations as well to get that throwable. It doesn't look like they've gone to pick up Eddie yet. Maybe we get some music from Pixel Tamer though. This could be exciting.
A distinct possibility. We still need to find that Earth Crystal. It could be hidden behind the harp. Could be somewhere else on the moon here. So yeah, a lot of possibilities are still open.
Yeah, I gotta say, good job to our restreamer Asuka for hiding the Earth Crystal, the sand, and the Sand Ruby so that we get to go on a lunar chase. Sometimes these seeds end very quickly, but depending where this Earth crystal is, it could take a while. And there is the saddest of D-Mists in the summon location in Barren Basement. And so at this point, I also now wonder, with all the summon spots that Lady SSJ has taken, if they either have forgotten or are unaware that the summon spot, the summon locations are off for key items.
Yeah, it would be an easy thing to overlook, so I wouldn't blame them one bit. There is, of course, always a chance they're just looking for some extra loot, but yeah, this is a little bit of HP at this spot, and D-Mist can be not so fun when you've got to spend half the time in its counterattack form. So a little bit of a slog here.
Yeah, it's not a bad fight though, given the levels that they have, and again, to your point, could be just an item hunt, and always fun to get those big shiny things. And speaking of big shiny things, that's an Ogopogo that doesn't care about levels and HP and things like that. It's just going to rip through everyone. Edge gets punched to the floor, so no more darts. So we'll see if Eddie can get through this vanilla Ogopogo.
I believe in Eddie.
Yeah, at almost 5,000 a swing, I believe in Eddie as well.
One of the nice things is that Edward's and there down he goes. I was going to say Edward's low HP pool isn't as much of a detriment. When the scariest thing Ogopogo does is HP based attack. That's a Sand Ruby, not necessary.
That's kind of the key item that you just want to leave behind because you're angry that it's not the Earth Crystal.
Exactly. Yeah, like at first blush, it seems useful because hey, I can go get Rosa. It's one of my objectives, but since you got to get Kane anyway, and Kane is only at the Tower of Zot where Rosa is anyway, it's just gonna add it to the key item list and move on.
And to answer a question from chat, Rosa is in 2 locations, with C Vanilla being on. She is in both Kaipo and also up at the Tower of Zot, hanging out with her pal Edge. Or excuse me, Kane, not Edge.
Not to say they aren't pals, though. They're very good friends.
Definitely true.
This is a game about the power of friendship.
Yeah, like best friends, Kane and Valvolus. Or any spot on this game and Hanzo Steel, apparently, tonight.
Oof, well, we talked about hunting for items, and that's a big one there for Edge.
Is that 2 Masas and 2 Muras so far we've seen?
I believe so. I think Edge wants to take after Gilgamesh and morph in time into an 8-legged or 8-armed fighter to hold all of these swords.
There's a flag suggestion. all Edge inventory spots become swords of some sort. You can quint equip Edge. I'm gonna have to go into feedback and ideas.
It's a good way to give Rivers a stroke would be to suggest something like that.
Especially with all the fantastic
pulsing.
Yeah, especially with the big update that's already coming out, or some of the beta changes that some folks have started to play around with. Just adding extra things to the list just to upset the admins. Probably not the right time to do it after all the hard work they've put in.
And that's a rat tail. That is another potential lead on that Earth Crystal.
Yeah, all of the key items that you want to find, except for the key item that you want to find. Lady SSJ finding out that there is no reward for D-Mist, much to their chagrin, so I assume we will see them head to Troya shortly.
Pick up that Artemis bow that Eddie's been holding on to.
Yeah. And this is the crazy part about the legacy flags changing every week is there is so much to keep track of. And, you know, we kind of talked about this little pre-race that I ran one set of these just to prep for commentary earlier today because there's so much that changes on a week by week basis.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's so hard to keep track of it from a runner's perspective.
I
So
have the flags pulled up in the second monitor so that anytime I open my mouth, I check the flags to make sure I don't put my foot in it, and I have still made some mistakes. So.
that makes two of us. It's very difficult to keep track of all the changes. So, kudos to everyone who does. And again, kudos to the runners for putting on a great show for us so far. They've both performed fantastically. Pixel Tamer finding the last possible key item to chain things together to find that eventual Earth Crystal. We know what's behind Luca from the warp glitch. So they have access one way or another to where that Earth Crystal is going to be. It could be through Twin Harp. It could be through Pan. But they're going to show it to us at some point fairly soon, I imagine.
Yeah, now correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Pixel Tamer skipped the Pale Dim spot. I think that's the only thing he didn't do.
You are probably correct on that because I do not recall seeing a check for that. I think they skipped out on that after doing, was it Mylon Z at the Wyvern spot?
The Wyvern spot, yeah. So that means he's in a really good spot right now. It was a little bit of a gamble to leave the moon uncompleted, but there's a good chance he's holding on to access to the Earth Crystal right now. The only way this could bite him is if that Earth Crystal was just sitting without a quest attached right there at the Pale Dim spot.
Correct. And we know it can't be from this Pan bunk because this is considered a summon, but it could be at Sheila too. And there's an Excalibur, which for Pixel Tamer does absolutely nothing since they have the best start. But speaking of Excaliburs, Lady SSJ now has theirs, and they have a Cecil who can sling that around for very good use as well.
Very rare that you get synchronized Excalibur pickups, but there you go.
I don't hate to see it, and I know a lot of Cecil fanboys and fangirls and fan folks out there more than happy to see that Excal come into play as well.
I'm one of them. Love me some Paladins.
I just like anything that wields a big stick and hits hard, and that's Edward, Kane, Edge, Cecil, obviously, even Sid with a big hammer or axe.
I love that the phrase "I love anything with a big stick and hits hard," and that can be Edward, is something you can only say for Enterprise.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. Those melee characters make it very easy. You just zerk them, put the controller down, drink some water, grab a snack. That's your game.
Just let the AI do the action queuing for you.
And I know I'm excited because we get some music coming up shortly from Pixel Tamer.
So yeah, this is the coin flip moment here. It is either here in Cave Magnus or it's still waiting on the moon. I didn't check specifically, but I have to imagine Pixel Tamer has kept a backup save back on the moon. So if this doesn't pan out, I can just reset out, go right back to the moon, and pick this crystal up.
Yeah, I definitely think a safety save up there or a save scum opportunity is prudent. That being said, if you end up getting something like a pink tail from this and pick up an extra adamant armor, you don't end up, in my opinion, taking that save scum. You pick up that adamant armor because it's just that good.
Yeah, if there's anything better than one adamant armor, it's two adamant armors.
Absolutely.
Lady SSJ is going back into the Lugai fight here in the Fey March.
And it's okay now, chat. The poison walk is gone. We don't have to worry about that anymore.
A little bit of damage out here on the team for some cutscene skipping, and if you're new to Free Enterprise, you're in for a treat as we get the rockin' tunes of DJ Spoonie B as our community member Rexrawl likes to say. We randomize the harp tune that gets played instead of Edward's normal theme. So we're going to mute our mics and listen in on what we've got. And unfortunately, a little truncated because of the sheer damage output from Pixel Tamer, but that was Save Them or Save the Espers from Final Fantasy VI. One of my favorite tracks in that game.
And there it is. It's the pink tail and the quick reset back up to the moon. So Pixel Tamer not happy with the concept of a second adamant armor.
Now, Pixel Tamer has his sights set on the end of this seed, which is a unfortunate tongue twister I just came up with in my head. He's going right back to the moon to take out that Pale Dim spot and grab the Earth Crystal he wants.
Now, it would be very interesting to see if somehow this isn't... well, speaking of adamant armors...
It's you get so used to some of like the higher level competitive seeds where we have adamant armors turned off that just seeing this many adamant armor accesses in one seed is pretty nuts.
Yeah, this is at least 3 that we know about, given the Pinktail turn-in. So that's that's a pretty silly amount. Anything more than 1, honestly, is ridiculous. Just how strong the adamant armor is.
Okay, so a little bit of time investment there for Lady SSJ to get that fight down, but that is not a terrible prize to be walking away right there.
Yeah, I'm never unhappy to see an adamant armor.
I am unhappy to see Baigen. Do have a lot of damage, so it shouldn't be too rough, but Baigen is one of those boss fights that can be really nasty if you find it late game.
Yeah, Baigen's another one kind of like that antlion where if you use magic, it puts up a wall, and it just punches really, really hard. So, you have to tread lightly, even at these high levels. But those spoons in particular being darted, and being, zerking that Edward, this fight's not going to take that long. This is a pretty easy Baigen, all things considered, just given the power that this party possesses for Pixel Tamer.
We saw a little Easter egg there from Lady SSJ checking in on Rose's mom there, who can actually give you routing advice there if you go and check in on her. So something you can keep in mind.
Yeah, it's definitely helpful. I've gotten 2 hours plus into a seed before, and then, oh, by the way, Rose's mom tells you, hey, you forgot Antlion Cave, and then you just get a little sad, but you go and complete the seed anyway. And speaking of completing the seed, Pixel Tamer has their Earth Crystal. Sadly for them, last locationing, but that's not uncommon on this flag set, because Murasame Altar is the standalone altar. Since you don't have Value Cave in play, you're either going to check Murasame's spot first, or you're going to check it last. There's pretty much no in between.
Yeah, right you are. It was a calculated gamble leaving the moon with the 2 items already in tow that can check for key items. So I don't blame Pixel Tamer one bit for making that play, but unfortunately just rolled the snake eyes there. And looks like we have our first finisher of the night. Woo Bear finishing with a time of 1:26.25, blazing through this seed. So GG's to Woo Bear and congrats on first place.
Yeah, GG's to Wubear indeed. Definitely a multiple time top 3 finisher in the Legacy race. I know one of the highest points earners so far in the series. So definite GG's to them on continued good success in this format. And we'll, find out if that meta objective was completed of darting 5 spoons at Zeromus as well. And see if, Wubear becomes the enemy of the people if something like the spoon gets turned off because of it.
You always have to have a heel. Not everybody can be a face.
Yeah, I normally like to try to play the role of the heel, but I'm on comms tonight, so there's never evil commentary. Except, I think Rivers has tried the evil commentary thing before, and he does a great job of oh boy, speaking of heals, that's a Kainatsu at the element spot, and that is, it doesn't matter what your HP is, because it's going to kill you. Yeah, those waves will do like 2,800 damage.
Yeesh. The good news is you can put out a lot of damage very quickly with darting, with that adamant spoon word doing damage, and the amount of damage that his wave is going to do is going to be based on his remaining HP. So if you can just kind of burst a good chunk out as quickly as possible, you can make those waves much more manageable. But yeah, this is a nasty fight no matter how you shake it.
Yeah, we've got about 15,000 in so far, it looks like. We'll see if that blitz is timed correctly to drop the wave and not actually have it go off. It was close, but there's a 2,000 hit point wave coming out.
Oof.
Cannot.
Oh, come on! And taking what he said, don't blame him one bit there.
Yeah, folks, if you've never had Kainatsu at the element spot, yeah, I don't wish it upon you or your worst enemy. This is probably the worst spot in the game. So the real GGs go out to Asuka for putting this Kainatsu here.
Yeah, Kainatsu is especially nasty just because of the kind of quirks of this early implementation of the ATB system. The idea is that if you take down the water surrounding him with a lightning attack, he shouldn't be able to use wave. But if he's already queued it up, then the game doesn't really care whether the water is still there or not. He's going to use it regardless. So what Pixel Tamer has done is reduced his battle speed. It's going to increase the amount of time between ATB ticks, and is hopefully going to give him a better chance of nailing that window and reducing the water with a lightning spell before Kainatsu was able to queue up that wave.
Yeah, and it looks like the timing from Palom this time should be perfect. The input for Lit 1 was queued up just before the wave came out, so this should be good. And after the first wave here with all this damage that's come out, shouldn't even need to get another one nerfed, basically. Should be through this.
And the Lit did indeed scared him. Yep, looks like we're good.
Oh, 6,600 from Eddie there.
Yeah, even if he gets... Oh, wow, he did queue a wave. Okay, very survivable, though. He did chunk away enough damage that wave was dealt with by the party. Going to get a Cure 4 out, going to get more HP chunked off of him, and the next wave shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, and this just goes to show, even in optimal conditions, with lower battle speed, with good timing, Kainatsu's still a jerk. I think I heard someone very early on in my FE playing career call Kainatsu the jerk turtle. And I happen to agree with them.
Yeah, that is a
very rude.
Very apt description of him. My language might be a bit more colorful, but I'm on comms right now, so I can't... He is in his shell, though. That means we are in the final phase of the fight. All he is going to do at this point is try to heal himself. As long as he doesn't heal himself to the point where he comes out of the shell, we are completely safe now.
Yeah, and you love seeing that remedy for 6,500 hit points.
Yeah, obviously it's a percentage of his total health, and that is a very high percentage.
Yeah, the remedy is 10%, so we know that he has 65,000 here. The wave being 4% of his current health was also why he was doing so much damage. But this should be over with this Ice 3. And down goes Kainatsu, and Pixel Tamer is 2 bosses away. Well, excuse me, no, they still have the Tower of Zot to go through.
Yep.
So they are 4 bosses away from completion of this seed.
Getting there, though. Definitely getting there.
Very close.
Yeah, but one of the interesting things about Cagnazzo is even though you use lightning spells to get his wave to go down, he's actually weak to the ice element. He absorbs it when the water is up. When the water is down, hit him with ice, and you will do a lot of damage, as evidenced by that Palom Ice 3 there.
Yeah, one of my favorite ways to get through Rude Kainatsus is an Elven Bow, an Ice Arrow, and Heroine Robe Rosa.
Ooh,
because she can stand up to the punches, and she can dish out that elemental damage, and she doesn't end up in a remedy lock when you get down to that shell form, where she can actually still outpace the healing. So it's a very very specific subset of things that you need to go right to get that set up, but it's definitely a favorite of mine.
Lady SSJ apparently getting into the Endwalker beta early because they have gone right to the moon.
Yeah, I think at this point also, given the finishing times, if you're looking at the race room, you kind of know that it has to be on the moon at this point, given the quality of overall runners in the community. And we have a couple of fantastic ones just finishing as we're talking, with Infinius finishing second at 133.19 and Jeebus finishing third, 22 seconds behind at 133.41. But with the quality of runners in this community, for folks to be finishing above an hour and a half, it kind of tells you that it had to be on the moon.
Yeah, right you are. You can always, there's always a lot of metagaming going on, thinking when you see these dot duns start to come through and you sort of compare it to where you are in the seed, sort of makes you think about, where is everything else here? What decisions do I have to make going forward? What is likely to have been checked here? So yeah, a lot of, there's some runners that will actually minimize Discord while they race, just because they don't want to psych themselves out when they see things like that, which is totally understandable. But yeah, a lot of people also use that for context clues and how they can get the seed done quickly and finish in the top bracket there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like, speaking of top bracket, we also have PK 4787 coming in fourth at 134.05. So after that first place finish from Woobear off screen, we had 3 runners come in within 45 seconds of each other for second, third, and fourth. So, amazingly close finishes there from some phenomenal runners.
Yeah, that is really incredible considering how much running around there was to be done this seed. That we still had such close finishes. So we've got some really fantastic runners that like playing in the Legacy, and it really goes to show here.
Yeah, and it looks like we have Lady SSJ making the play to go bottom up through the moon, which, given the density of items, again, this was kind of something we alluded to earlier, that the Murasame altar is either going to be your first or your last check. So in this case, looks like Lady SSJ may come up on the wrong side of that. Not that their logic is flawed in any way, just that Asuka decided to hide the good things in the wrong places for everybody to find them quickly.
Yeah, it'll just be a matter of whether they decide to make the same kind of gamble that Pixel Tamer did, or see the moon through to completion. We hope it's the latter, because we don't want one of our runners falling down a rabbit hole like this. But yeah, this is absolutely, if I'm in their position right now, I'm making the same play, because there's just such a greater concentration of items down here to find.
Yeah, absolutely agree that even with something as rude as this antlion, or some of the other fights that we know are up here, like that vanilla Ogopogo, they're still doable. with these levels, they're still doable with the overall power of this party. So, definitely something that Lady SSJ is getting through very quickly. They've gone through this seed very quickly as well, even, with some of their trials and tribulations, still making great time. And speaking of making great time, that was a single dart to a Valvolus and goodbye.
Yeah, one of the great things about Dart is it's one of the very few attacks in this game that has a guaranteed 100% accuracy. So it completely ignores all of Val's nasty evasion shenanigans and just deals direct damage right to her, no problem. Can always rely on it. So if you don't have a cane to play the fight like you quote should be played, Edge will do just fine as long as you got something decent to throw with him.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And we have Pixel Tamer picking up both Kane and Rosa. And that will be objective 3. And there is the crystal for Pixel Tamer, completing what is effectively a 17 out of 17 as they momentarily saw the pink tail from the Twin Harp and reset out. So Pixel Tamer so far has given us the full free enterprise experience.
And we got the dark sparkles for the crystal there. I've got to ask Scala Kitty in chat there if she could explain what causes the dark sparkles to be dark like that. I'm guessing it's some kind of palette thing, but I'm very curious now.
Yeah, I've not seen that before myself, so that's definitely a cool thing.
The answer apparently is we don't know.
Well, with the original, Final Fantasy IV game being held together by duct tape and rubber bands, it's not terribly surprising that when someone even as good as Boardface does all of the updates and folks behind the scenes test them, that there's just stuff that they probably either don't experience or combinations of things that they don't even get to see that randomly show up, and we just go, "Huh, it's neat."
Yeah, one of the fun facts about that room specifically that I learned from Scala Kitty is that Cecil and Rosa have the same overworld palette, and the reason that is because when when the two of them hug in the cutscene for the reunion, it's actually a single sprite of the two of them hugging. So the fact that they have the same color palette makes that able to work like that. I thought that was really clever.
That's interesting. That's Scala Kitty being the genius that she is with all of the art, and all the palettes and the character, sprites and all of those wonderful things. I adore everything that she does for the community and brings to us in the way of knowledge and just the artwork, the amazing stuff that's done.
All right, there's the Twin Harp for Lady SSJ. So now probably some questions going through their mind right now about what to do next.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for that huge raid in Venerable and Friends. Welcome to the closing portions of this Legacy Enterprise race. We have our featured runners, Pixel Tamer and Lady SSJ X Gears. And we hope y'all enjoy the show as we have taken a very scenic route to get to where we are so far.
Yeah, this was a seed that even doing it optimally is brushing up at the 17 out of 17 position. Not strictly needing to do everything, but very likely to see everything if you're going about it with an eye towards an optimized route.
Yeah, even kind of a router's relish on this would be interesting because a lot of those off locations still have some amazing items in them. We've seen multiple adamant armors. We obviously have the spoon, we have an X-Scal. Lots of different ways that you would want to route this, even having all the information. So it's definitely been an interesting one.
Yeah, always nice when the DM puts a stash of gold at the end of a dead end in the dungeon. So and that's kind of been what this seed has been.
Yeah, and speaking of a nice stash of gold at the end of a seed, uh, I see a bunch of Z's in chat. Is it nap time, or are we gonna get the gold and go take a nap, or what's going on here, Pixel Tamer?
Naps are pretty golden to me. I can't think of anything better in the world. But I think what they're asking is has to do with posteriors of some kind.
Oh, posteriors.
Yeah, they
Hmm.
are wondering whose butt we are gonna kick tonight as we find out who our randomized Zirma sprite is.
Yeah, whoever it is, they are gonna get darted. They are gonna get spooned. And overall, they are not going to have a great day. So let us find out shortly. I am seeing a lot of shakes from that Zeromus, though. So
Yeah,
this,
I gotta imagine Pixel Tamer just kind of ran into this fight very quickly, not really concerning himself too much with setting up proper agility with the sort of power overwhelming he has right now. That Cecil is at level 1. Oh goodness, that is a terrifying Z.
it's a very teeny tiny butt that we're going to be kicking tonight.
Very teeny tiny that I hope we have Metal Slayers for, or are about to get critical hits.
All right, well, there's a 4,700 swing from Edward. So one of the concerns here is getting 5 darts in. This would be for, meta objective purposes in the top 3. Getting 5 darts in before actually killing this Aromas, or in this case, Metalmus, because of the sheer amount of damage that Edward and Kane are going to be dishing out.
Yeah, Edge is even though Edge is doing so much damage with his darts, we still have to manually put his commands in, whereas Kane and Edward are going to have the benefits of Berserk doing that for them, which is going to result in them taking more turns than maybe they technically should be. So even though they're not doing as much damage as Edge, they may very well be out DPSing him.
Yeah, that's definitely true. That Edward just chunking away. That's 5,500 damage off of that Berserked Adam and Spoonword. And it looks like Lady SSJ not leaving the moon before collecting the Baigen fight from this Murasame altar. So they will be rewarded with their Earth Crystal and avoid a lot of those other chains that Pixel Tamer dove into.
Wow, and just like that, Metalmus is down. Woo, that was a lot of damage. I think you're right. I'm not sure if we even got 5 spoon darts in. But
Yeah, GG's to Pixel Tamer, though.
coming in 8th place with a time of 1:44.19, and I believe we are joined by Pixel Tamer here. Congratulations on your finish.
Thanks. That was only 4 spoons, wasn't it? I think he died too fast for 5.
I wasn't specifically counting, but I think you're right. It didn't look like we got around to a 5th turn.
Yeah, I know I'm not in the top 3, but I wonder if Zoe would have counted anyway because I was trying.
A good faith attempt.
So, gosh, a big gamble there with the quest items that you got from the moon and going to cash them in and just not paying out there.
Yeah, that hurt.
Yeah, what was mathematically it was on your side, but it was were you kind of like going from the get go, like if I get one more of these quest items, I'm going for it, or what was sort of your thinking there when you were on the moon?
Yeah, so I think it was the Twin Harp I got first, and then the Rat Tail, and I thought, okay, Twin Harp takes a while, so I'm gonna wait and see if they get Rat Tail or Pan before saves come out. And then Rat Tail went into Pan, into nothing. Twin Harp went into a Pink Tail, which is lovely, but I wasn't going to take the time to fly back to the moon at that point.
Did you want another adamant armor in your
I mean, another adamant armor would have been great, but time.
Yeah.
That absolutely makes sense. One thing I always like to ask with this flag set, with everything changing weekly with the Enterprise Legacy flags, take us through kind of your early game routing and how you like to run in particular this week, because I know we saw you grab an edge and do some looting. Take us through kind of your decision and your concept of why you wanted to do what you did early on.
Sure. So Cecil Kane is kind of a weak start, so I wanted to do whatever I could to get them going quickly. So I was going to loot Evelyn Castle primarily, but then Poke as the starting key item means, hey, free overworld, we just have to go grab that edge.
Absolutely. And were you happy with the amount of Hanzo in the seed?
Yeah, there's a lot of nice swords. I probably wouldn't have used them as much if I remembered half the time that I had infinite spoons.
Yeah, that was something I wanted to ask you about, because after you did the dupe glitch and the spoons, you still attacked at the edge for a bit, and I was curious if you just thought the extra damage wasn't worth the menuing, or sort of what was going on there, but...
Completely it was oversight.
No worries.
So I did have another question. Initial reaction when you saw the blue turtle at the element spot.
That was kind of like an, oh crap, this is the worst spot for him. And I almost survived the wave on the first attempt.
Yeah, it was a really good attempt, and you got a ton of damage out, but boy, is that guy not so rude.
Yeah, so then on the second attempt, it's like, okay, turn down the battle speed, because this is one of the fastest spots in the game, and hope I can just jam enough damage in to make the wave survivable, and that's what ended up happening, even if Spoonward had to get picked up again.
Yeah, overall, very well run. It was great to watch you, work on stream, and always exciting to see great runners such as yourself and Lady SSJ, run on these. So those were kind of the only thoughts I had. Smapety, do you have any other questions, or Pixel Tamer, any other thoughts?
I mean,
on the seed.
I spent like 5 minutes doing earth checks that I didn't need to when I jumped out of the moon, and I just have to wonder how much better I would have done, like placement-wise, if I had gone top-down moon. Then on the other hand, I wouldn't have had the 10 key item XP bonus when I was doing giant. So like, there's trade-offs everywhere.
Yeah, it was one of those seeds where even there were very few dead ends that didn't give you something that was sort of worth going down that route for. So yeah, like you said, trade-offs everywhere. Really can't blame you for any of the decisions you made.
Yeah, I will say I hope Asuka's happy with me, because I took Adamant Spoonward as soon as I could.
Oh, she was overjoyed in chat, I can tell you that much.
Excellent.
Well, thanks so much, Pixel Tamer, for being rebroadcast and joining us tonight. It was an absolute pleasure watching your race as always. And have a wonderful evening, and hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Yes, thanks for doing all the broadcasting stuff. Obligatory community is great, etc. And I'll see you folks later.
Take care, Pixel.
GG's again, Pixel. And that was, again, Pixel Tamer, our 8th place finisher this evening. First completion on Restream. So again, GG's to them. Just to update on some other finishes that we've had. We had Klopfer come in 5th place at 135.37. Harumph in 6th at 136.29. Flurry 14, who has also joined us in chat to say hi to Asuka, finished in 7th at 142.09. Stone Dingley, 9th place at 144.53, and Microcorgs in 10th place at 147.14. So GG's to our 10 finishers so far, and let's see if we can get Lady SSJ in there with them as well, once they are able to get through this rude Kainazzo.
Yeah, on the one hand, they are facing Kainazzo in one of the most annoying spots to fight him. On the other hand, their Palom has 1,337 HP, so how can you go wrong with that?
That is a very elite Palom right there. You are correct.
God, I'm old.
I think most of us are right there with you in this community. We're playing a 30-year-old video game that was closer to the moon landing in the 60s than the present day today.
Oh gosh, that's scary to think about. I wish you hadn't said that.
You're welcome.
I'll be thinking about that the rest of the night. Oh, let's talk about mortality, chat.
All right. Looks like we have Tybalt also coming in, 11th place at 150-117. So GG's to them. Lots of amazing runners in this race in particular. Kind of a who's who of runners right now in the community. Just amazing performances all around.
Yeah, right you are. Here comes the blitz to take the wave down. Let's hope that there is not a wave queued.
Looks good so far.
Oh, we're okay. Yeah, we saw physical attack, so there was no wave queued up. Should be good to at least chunk some HP off of there and hopefully get this into a manageable position.
Yeah, I like this idea of everyone with lightning spells cast all of your lightning spells, Edge included. Let's take no chances.
And Cecil is switching over to the Avenger, so we can do some Excal Avenger shenanigans. There's the wave, hits a little too hard. Oh. Yeah, that is so heartbreaking to see.
So part of the reason why this is so difficult for Lady SSJ versus Pixel Tamer, and this is an incredibly unfortunate circumstance here, is because Lady SSJ has Cecil, they are working with vanilla agility, whereas Pixel Tamer was not. So the issue becomes Cecil's agility in this case, and this is one of those rare situations where having a Cecil is an active detriment because this spot is so fast and you're relying on Cecil as an anchor instead of being able to anchor properly with a low agility character, that as good as Cecil is with this Excal and this Avenger, Lady SSJ is being actively punished by having what is arguably the strongest singular character in the game in their party. So
yeah. You're absolutely right, and it's really got to be frustrating for Edge being your highest burst damage right here with those thrown spoons, and that burst damage being so crucial to getting those waves down to a manageable level, and he's got to spend his first turn using Blitz in order to even have a chance of getting that first wave interrupted. So yeah, it's just a really unfortunate agility situation for this team.
Yeah, and I can speak from experience on this because this is actually the second time I've seen Kainazzo here this week. Now, luckily, I was able to put a curse ring on a Cecil and take an adamant armor off of him and get his agility to something manageable. But if you don't have those tools, it is an absolute bear to get through. So, and even with those tools, it's hard.
We've got a Silk Web going out now, which, if we can get through this first wave phase, could be very, very useful. That it was going to. It's basically 2 layers of the slow spell. It's going to make him much more manageable. It's going to give you a much larger window with which to deal with that, and it looks like we might be in a good position here.
Yeah, it looks like that lit came out a little early, so we'll see if this blitz gets in there correctly. Gonna get that Excal Avenger Cecil going again. Blitz should be timed well, looks good.
Yeah, we know the ATB hasn't rolled over yet because we haven't lost control of Cecil. Okay, there we go. As soon as we lose control of Cecil, we know the ATB has ticked 1 position. It's ticked over once into the wave. Blitz is going to go off. That should be the first ATB tick of that window, which means that Kainazzo should not have had time to get a wave queued up. Never mind. I don't know anything about Final Fantasy IV. What is this game even? Is this Pokemon?
This is... I guess Kainazzo kind of looks like Snorlax a little, right? So maybe this was that Snorlax we all wanted to catch that we just never could.
What is the casting time on Blitz?
I thought Blitz had a delay of 1, which is which is fairly fast.
I did not think it had that long of a cast time, but I mean, how often are you measuring the cast time of ninjutsu?
Rarely. But yeah, this is rough. um, Battle speed is now down to 6. This is one of the things as well that normally when you are anchored without this vanilla agility situation, battle speed 3 becomes very comfortable. I know folks who do it at battle speed 1, but they're crazy to me and just way too good at this game. Battle speed 3 gets real comfortable, and then battle speed 6 as well. There's 2 variations you can do. Battle speed 6, when you're anchored where everyone's relative agility 1, you can actually get the inputs for lit 1s and stuff after the wave goes up. There's enough time. On battle speed 3, basically as soon as the punch comes out and one Zerker takes an action, you can then get the lit queued, and it always is going to take out the wave. But with vanilla agility, it's a whole nother game. It's really difficult.
Yeah, it's very interesting because when you think about RPG speedrunning or RPG speed racing with randomizers like this, the first thing that comes to mind isn't twitch reflexes, like maybe in a shooter or a platformer, but just the way the ATB system works in this game. It really is kind of a marriage of the typical RPG mindset and actually requiring proper timing and twitch reflexes like that. It's really interesting, the kind of skill sets that are challenged in this game.
Yeah, there's, as chat has pointed out and as many have said over, the time that I've been in this community, there's black magic, and then there's the actual magic in this game, which is agility. And I see, from my point of view, that lit 2 looks perfectly timed. And I hope for Lady SSJ's psyche at this point, with how rude this silly turtle's being, that it is properly timed. Looks good? Question mark?
I think we're okay. We've got to be okay at this point, right? Yeah, everything's fine. No problem. I do appreciate that the way Kignazo flashes to black and white when he gets hit with a lightning spell. It kind of makes it look like we're seeing a skeleton, like in an old cartoon.
Yeah, kind of zapping the random enemy. It's like, oh hey, surprise! Here's a lightning bolt. Yeah, as I think I saw pointed out in chat, there was mention of a cursed ring and a dwarf axe that someone had to put on their Cecil to help get through this. We know that the dwarf axe was something that was found, but dropping by just 5 agility is not going to change too much here, I don't think. But a cursed ring dropping by 15 would change a lot. This looks manageable. We only have 4, there's only 4 members of the party up, but they all have big HP pools, so if we can get some curing off here, this could be the one for Lady SSJ, and that perseverance will get them through.
Yeah, the only thing we need right now is for Fu to land a Cure 4 on the party, and I know for a fact that spell was fast, so hopefully get everybody topped up, and with the damage that's been going out, those waves should be manageable at this point.
Yeah, as long as they're above about 1200 health by now, they should be fine, which this Cure 4 will put everyone out of range of that. So I think, cross our fingers, that Lady SSJ's perseverance is going to pay out here.
Well, as long as... Okay, there we go. Good job.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, that last wave did about 1500, so even Fusoya is above the threshold now.
Yeah, we should be looking at around 1000 damage from this, most likely. Yeah, even less. So yeah, we're more or less home free here, unless something terrible happens.
Yeah, this is a great job. There's the shell. Yeah, great job by Lady SSJ here. That's a fantastic effort with a vanilla agility to get through this. This is where the darts do need to come out from Edge, though, or an Ice 3 from Fusoya, I think, to get over that last little hump, because those remedies are going to be coming out very quickly.
Yeah, right you are. And the last thing we want is him to heal himself back up into the phase where we can queue up another wave, just because it's going to take so much time. It won't do a ton of damage necessarily, but yeah, here we go. Oh, no, that's a life going out. Wants to make sure that everybody's getting the XP. Like we mentioned, second highest XP, or no, I think this might be the highest XP spot in the game.
Second highest, yeah.
This is the second highest, okay.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be 205,000 well-earned experience points.
Absolutely well-earned.
And looks like Lady SSJ is queuing up a virus to take out this Cecil. I believe they have all the experience they want on their Cecil at this point.
I think that was a psych to drain MP for a nuke, but I could have read it wrong. He's going to use that MP for anything when he's Berserk, so it makes a fine mana battery.
Absolutely. Kind of the downside of using Psych, though, is the fact that it has a cast time of 5, I think, which is a relative eternity in this game. Think of Medio and how long that takes to cast being a cast time of 10. Psych takes half of that, which is still just an inordinate amount of time.
Yeah, absolutely. And there it finally goes, and a cool 200 or so MP for Fu.
And to answer the question from chat, yes, Ice would be super effective, and let's just say it, GG to Lady SSJ. This was the real final boss right here.
Yeah, that was very well fought. I had to struggle so much more because of the party composition compared to Pixel Tamer, but stuck with it, got through, and should be well on their way to the end of the seed here.
Yes, and I hope we see a safety save here.
And yes, indeed, there it is.
Excellent. And it does look like we have a 12th place finisher, Lord Bobry, coming in at 203.24. So GG's to them. And again, GG's to everyone. Being able to get through that Kainatsu and some of the other rudeness in this seed. Overall, great job by everyone again.
Certainly. Most important thing here for Lady SSJ was remembering to move the battle suit down to 1, which is something I would not do. And
oh yeah, I would still be on battle speed 3 or 6 here, depending on how I was taking that fight. So heads up by them to still have their mind in the game after that slog of a fight.
Most certainly.
This Dark Elf, though, this is where having an Excal Cecil or Excal Avenger Cecil will make things pretty easy. Dark Elf knowing that Edge is the real enemy here.
The one unfortunate thing here is that if you dart a weapon, it actually does not retain its properties. The only thing the game looks at is its attack value, so not getting the bonus holy damage for throwing an Excalibur at Dark Elf, but not really necessary. He's pretty much done.
Yeah, this is not going to be an issue. So Lady SSJ is going to be through. And because C Vanilla is on, I believe this is the case anyway, there is no character reward for completing the Giant of Babel, as we would see normally. But Lady SSJ, hard fought, is through objective number 1, completing the Giant of Babel. So again, very well done to them.
And now it's just going to be a little traipse over to the Tower of Zot to pick up Rosa and Kane and get their crystal.
Absolutely. And I am being corrected. Excuse me. It is because it is Giant, the classic Giant, that the character is removed. Much like with classic Forge, Kokol just keeps the Excal and doesn't give it to you.
Which is a very funny dialogue sequence if you've never seen it before.
Yeah, that I have seen, because I think he just says ... I'm gonna keep it. Something to that effect.
Yeah.
It's kind of akin to the magma key being dropped into the well after you've already, blown a hole into the ground.
Answer your question in chat from Woo Bear. The pass was actually in a chest in Evelyn Cave on the very first screen of it. It's the chest in the bottom right of the map, if memory serves.
Yep, and I believe with P chest, which is the flag that puts a pass in chest, it puts the distribution at 2 passes underground, or what is considered underground, and 1 pass in the overworld. And I believe Eblin Cave is considered an underground location for that distribution as well, even though it is technically on the overworld map.
Man, that is the only one we've seen, if memory serves. Who knows what the two were?
According to Microcorgs, there was one in a Feymarch treasure chest as well.
Oh, interesting. And no problem whatsoever with Volvalis there.
Yeah, at this point, with vanilla agility on, this is where the whole party is just so fast that being unanchored is actually a benefit, because all of your characters are moving so rapidly, the boss is not taking any turns, and so you just get to blow everything up, and race to the finish, basically. And GG's to Gambit, coming in 13th place at 205.58.
GG's indeed.
And there's
Best
Beers.
page as the name for Rosa there. Let's hope Demarine isn't watching.
Well, I like that we have, for Lady SSJ, Best White Mage for Rosa, and then Not Rosa is the name of Porum. Thought that was a cute little naming scheme there.
And then it's a matter of, wait, didn't I just fight your spot?
Yeah, it would be a little more humorous if the Elements boss showed up here. Just to be like, hey, remember what you just had to go through?
Right tile set, wrong dungeon.
But very quickly through. And with Excal Avenger Cecil, with darts, with what I assume will be some possible nukes, I think this Ceromus is about to have a second bad day on our restream here on the Free Enterprise channel.
Yeah, this might even be more of a slaughter than we saw from Pixel Tamer, just because this Cecil is actually online and ready to fight.
Yeah, this Cecil is going to be doing damage at or above what that Edward was doing, and this Cecil has 0 issues surviving a Big Bang.
Very heads-up play here from Lady SSJ, knowing that they dropped the big whale off in Troya, grabbing a black chocobo to head up there instead of having to park so far away and walk through the woods. Good awareness there.
Yeah, can confirm I would not have remembered this, and I would be doing the walk of shame from the southern forest from Troya right now.
I feel
very heads up.
circled over town on the flight. And yeah, that was a traffic pattern. Was looking for proper clearance from the Choco Tower.
And looks like we do have a 14th place finisher, Roger McBain, coming in at 2:10:35. So GG to them as well. And we have Cecil at level a lot, with agility a lot, and strength even more. And this is one of those situations where the agility is not going to be optimal, and I don't think it's going to matter.
Yeah, there comes a point when Cecil is just so powerful that the numbers don't mean anything. They're like the points on whose line is it anyway. They're made up and they don't matter.
That was a good show back in the day. But if you have them, or if you haven't seen these Aroma Sprite for this seed, get your Z flags out in chat. And for the second time tonight, we are going to find out who's Tookus. We are going to torch.
Who's Heine we're gonna harass?
Can we say that one?
You know what? I could say that. Just go ahead and type up a resignation letter. So,
the views of these commentators are not reflective of the studio.
Admins. I said stupid things. I'm sorry. Love.
Well, I mean, if it makes you feel better, Smatey, my very first interaction I ever had with the community was a message from you, actually, because my stream title was inappropriate and picked up by the bot.
Water under the bridge. And we're setting up the Star Veil here, so we'll see a couple nukes going out from our Black Mage here.
Couple nukes, an Avenger Cecil, a couple darts.
Yeah, and the nice thing about that dart coming out so quickly is that gets you to that first HP the HP refill a lot quicker, which is going to reset Metal Miss's AI script and make it a lot easier to just avoid seeing another Big Bang besides that initial nerf one.
Absolutely. And in this situation, I'm not expecting we'll see a second Big Bang. And for Lady SSJ's sake, I hope we don't as well, because that Cecil took a huge damage roll as well on the nuke and then the Big Bang. So even with it being nerfed, taking almost max damage on both of those, getting knocked down about 3,300 combined health. And Cure 3 gets off on Cecil, which is really good. That's going to make sure that he stays alive through any other Big Bangs.
Yeah, there's a not insignificant chance we won't see another one, but you always want to make sure you're above that threshold just in case.
Yeah, basically this fight is over from the perspective of Edge and Cecil are going to survive another Big Bang, and Cecil likely survives a Big Bang plus a Meteo. So, worst case scenario, this becomes a two-man operation. Best case scenario, we just see a flash, crack, boom, and it happens in short order.
And that was the second shake in a row, which means we have moved into the second phase. should be coming up on Meteor Phase relatively soon, based on the amount of damage getting put out.
Yeah, with those reflected nukes, the jumping from Kane, the darting from Edge, the berserking from Cecil, this is a ton of damage that has been output. Yeah, there's rocks, so this is all over but the crying.
Oh, speaking of crying, poor Palom. took those videos like a champ, but GG's to Lady SSJX Gears, finishing with a time of 2 hours, 16 minutes, 46 seconds. And I believe we are joined by them. Congratulations on your finish. GG's to Lady SSJX Gears, finishing with a time
And
of 2 hours, 16 minutes,
if you are speaking, we are unable to hear you, Lady SSJ. We would love to hear your lovely voice.
So we're just setting up a few audio things here. We'll have an interview shortly. But yeah, that was some chat discussion in chat about the seed. Asuka, of course, known for particularly rude seeds. I would say with all the gifts being given out and then sticking Cognazo at the element spot as a last obstacle to overcome, I would say that definitely qualifies as a rude seed from Asuka there.
Yeah, it's, I mean, relatively early. Edge makes things pretty doable. Obviously, getting the spoon makes things even more doable. But as far as the Kainatsu goes, that was kind of the chef's kiss to it all. It's like, here's some nice things, but that's all you're gonna get.
Yeah, it was definitely, and like we've been talking about, there were some wrong turns to be made, some dead ends, but always something nice at the end of any of those dead ends, whether it be another suit of adamant armor, some great weaponry for our melee fighters. So yeah, it was if you like looting, and I love looting, this was definitely a fun seed to experience. Having those really powerful melee fighters get online is always a blast.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I'm a big fan of anything that has a big sword and hits hard. So, this was a great seed from that perspective. That, just able to smash away. And I think we should be joined by Lady SSJ now.
Yes, I am here now. Thank you. Push to talk, works wonders.
So Kainatsu, the real final boss, and then Push to Talk, the secondary final boss. But GG's on beating both.
Yes, thank you so much. You can imagine I have a lot of thoughts.
All punching a turtle in the face.
Oh my goodness, I was determined. I was determined to make it through that. Like my thought was, like, I had a brief thought, like, all right, do I want to do a D machine real quick? And I'm like, no. I'm going to figure out a way to get through this. I don't care what it takes. I'm getting through this. Like, whether it was adjusting the battle speed, the silk web didn't seem to help, but I'm like, all right, no, Edge is getting that blitz off. Okay, there's something I can do with that. And then it was just about, whether using the Lit 1 or Lit 2 with Fusuya. And then I somehow managed to find just the right timing, and oh my goodness, that was fun. I will admit, it's hard to say something like that after you're, I don't know what my time was, 2 hours, or so, a little over 2 hours, but it was fun. The frustrating part, of course, was, seeing that Golbez at Baron Inn and saying, no, I'll come do you later, and then forgetting all about it. Until it mattered.
On the bright side, how therapeutic was it getting to play a seed where you got to throw infinite spoons?
It bittersweet, because I think the only way I would have been able to dupe them was to pick up that Edward, right?
Yeah,
but I mean, you had I think you ended up duping defense swords, which were just as good.
I ended up duping defense swords, and then I did dupe the X-Cal swords. If it wasn't so late in the seed, I would have went back to pick up the Edward to dupe those spoons, and I'm like, nah, it's too late to pull that move. I'll deal with 8K X-Cals on Z as opposed to quad 9s.
I think
Still a lot of damage.
Yeah.
What did most people do for that Knaz? I mean, I see the finish times come in, and I figured, most of them didn't fade Baron in like I did, but still, I imagine Knazo was a roadblock for many people too.
Yeah, it was the of course the only perspective we had was Pixel Tamer, but the big difference was Pixel Tamer didn't take Cecil, and so had an easier time manipulating Cognazo's agility to sort of cooperate with getting the lightning spells in. Whereas it was kind of a stumbling block for you there.
Yeah, and that is my ultimate weakness is if I see Cecil and I know that there's Adamant Armor, there's Crystal Sword, there's Avenger in the seed, I'm taking Cecil, I'm taking him early, and I'm rolling with it. Even with vanilla agility, and I knew there was vanilla agility. I knew it full well, and I said nope. Power overwhelming with Cecil. It's just my it's my weakness.
Character for a reason, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the few times when you can be actively punished for having the best character in the game in your party. And that's what the element spot, in particularly combined with Kainatsu does, is it actively punishes you for making good decisions by having an Excal Adamant, Avenger Cecil.
My hubris caught up to me in a big way because I said, all right, I got through that Ashura spot at Hook Route, which I was, extremely proud about. And then as I'm walking through Giant, I'm like, you know what? At this point, what's the worst this seed can throw at me? Like, there's nothing that this seed can throw at me like that I can't get through. And then I see King Alzo, and I'm like, okay, I deserve that.
Welcome to Asuka.
Because I just had a conversation with Xenocat, not even a week ago about having Knazo Elements and thought, yeah, that would be pretty rude to have him there. Oh, we'll have to worry about that for a while, and here we are.
Yeah, but you got through it, and getting through Kainatsu with Elements with vanilla agility without doing any manipulations to pick up and learn the timing is just phenomenal. A lot of folks may have hit that force forfeit button in your situation, and they may not have continued through. So I just wanted to commend you on your ability to get through that fight without doing any of those extra shenanigans.
No, I really appreciate that. I'm team no forfeit, so we could have sat here. I would have sat here for another 6 hours if it meant completing the seed, which is not always a good thing. But yeah, without, I would tell you, I don't. In that spot where I was at, I don't know what else I would have done differently other than doing that D machine grind, or I guess I could have backed out and taken another character to, manipulate the agility, but I was so determined that I knew there was a way to make it work. But yeah, thank you.
Well, just wanted to ask one last thing. If my sources are correct, this is your first time on the big screen. What was the experience like? Do you have any other final thoughts? Anything else you wanted to add here tonight?
Certainly nerves played, a part in it. I was fairly nervous for the first, 5-10 minutes of it. But I settled down, and I would tell you, like I said, outside of fading Baron in, I executed the way I wanted to. The only other thing that I missed and I just didn't check or pick up on was that, the no free key items, flag was not turned on. So, ultimately that didn't matter with Eddie having Artemis bow. But other than that, my closing thoughts are, this was amazing. Thank you all. Thank you to, both of you, the Restream team, the community as a whole. It's just overall an amazing experience. And I can't thank you enough for having me on tonight.
Hey, well, thank you for being rebroadcast. It was an absolute pleasure getting to watch you, and can't wait to see more of your races in the future. So enjoy your evening, and thanks again for being on.
Yep, thank you. You all have a good night.
You too. Take care.
Yep, bye-bye.
GG's again.
And with that, I think that is going to do it for us tonight. But we've got a little bit more free enterprise in store for you. We're going to be sending you over to Moonblaze Wolf, who is actually playing around with some of the beta flags that we have coming up for the next release of free enterprise. So that's definitely something you're going to want to catch.
Absolutely. I've seen some of the beta flags that have come out so far. I've seen some things like some mystery stuff that's happening, some caps on party size, some different cell options, lots of very interesting beta stuff. So we'll get a chance to kind of sneak peek in what Moonblaze Wolf is running. So again, GG's to everyone this evening. Make sure you follow. Go ahead and give a follow to Lady SSJ X Gears. They did a great job. Give a follow to Pixel Tamer. Fantastic job as well, finishing in 8th place overall and first on the restream. Make sure you follow Smapety. Make sure you follow Asuka, who rolled this beauty. Make sure you follow Kyra, who did a wonderful job tracking this glorious adventure we went on. And so thank you so much again, Smapety, for having me as your co-commentator. Thank you everyone behind the scenes. And y'all have a great evening. No spoilers. And enjoy Moonblaze Wolf.
Follow Possum Morpheus too.
Don't do it.